This presentation is designed to show you how to upload items to the WIT Institutional Repository. On the page you can see that there are a number of links relating to how to search to the repository to find various items. The repository can be found at repository.wit.ie or eprints.wit.ie. The purpose of the repository is to show or to expose our research and our intellectual output to as much of the world as possible, and thereby increasing the acceptance and absorption of our work and the knowledge we produce into the wider academic community. There is abundant evidence that repositories help in this, and but to discuss that is outside the scope of this presentation. So we'll cut to the chase. To add an item to the repository, you click on the Login button at the top left-hand side of the screen. You see there? Clicking on that, you're prompted for a username and password. As a WIT employee, you have a Novell username and password. You use that to log into your computers in the morning, and so use it for the repository. If you're a TSSG member without a WIT Novell login, you may then use your TSSG details. You'll arrive at a Manage Deposits page. The Manage Deposits page can contain a number of pre-filled items. Now these will have been taken from data that you would have sent to Research Matters either this time round or 6 months ago. Some of these references will also have come from a harvest of the web of knowledge. In this instance, we're just going to go straight through and produce a new item. The items that you see here, by the way, before we move further, these items do not have documents associated with them. They're just the references, and what we want to do is we want to upload a reference or upload an actual file. As you can see, there's a number of types of items that you can add. The most common might be an article, but you also have book sections, theses, images, videos, perhaps such as this, experiments, teaching resource, which could be syllabi, lecture notes, exercises, or anything else other that doesn't fit into any of these categories. By default, we choose article and move on to the next page. We come to the second step. Now this is a 3-4 step process, finalized with a deposit step at the end. We choose our article that we want to upload by clicking on the Browse screen. We find the article itself, choose that, and then in order to put it into the system, we actually click on the Upload button. So here we have our article. It's in PDF format. We may write a description. We make it visible to anyone if we are not afraid that there is any copyright issues. We will revisit that at the end of the presentation. And this relates to certain restrictions that a publisher may put on. They may allow you to publish to the repository after an embargo period of 6 months. So you write in when that expires. And that's fine. We go to the next step. So by default we'll let it be available to anyone. The next step is where we fill in the bibliographic details. There's a number of fields. Some of them have red stars. All the fields with red stars are compulsory, so we have to add the title of the journal, the title of the article, for example. And it's always good, though, to add an abstract bit about the article itself. It helps with the search process. All of these fields All of these fields are all of these fields help in the search process. They are the data that's exposed that allows it to be picked up by search services such as Google Scholar and various indexes on the web, and it's how this stuff is found by other academics. So it's really important to fill this out quite well. Put in these, whatever title, journal title, and other details. As much of these other details as possible. Until we get to the bottom. Now in these URLs we can add a number of URLs, your own website if you have one, that of your organization, the publisher, whether it's the journal website itself, or even if you want to put in another URL, perhaps the website of the project that is funding the research that this article comes from. You can see here. Contact email address. If the email address is not a WIT or a TSSG email address, please put your contact email address in there, although that's very unlikely to be the case. And we move on to the next step, the penultimate step. We choose our academic department. I'll choose library. We'll choose our research group. If you belong to none of these items, you do have to put something in, and you are given the option to choose none of these, so do add it, because as you can see from the red stars, these are compulsory fields. Oh, we're nearly there. The next step then, all being well, is to deposit the item, and you do that by clicking deposit item now. So at this point the article is now more or less out of your hands and will be viewed by an editor, and the main thing that will be checked at that point will be the copyright issues with regard to the article, and for your own satisfaction you may check the copyright the copyright details with this website. This website is a JISC funded project in the UK, and it indexes all of the journals or most of them. It's not comprehensive, but it does have a wide coverage, and lists their policies with respect to depositing on a repository like ours. So if we choose, we come to the web page, which is sherpa.ac.uk/romeo.php. And if we come to that page, we can type in the journal article or the journal title and click on search, which will give us their policy. In the case of the Optical Society of America, we can pretty much put the final version up. As we can see here, the author can archive post-print, in other words, the final post-refereed version, which is sent to the publisher. So it's as good as the publisher version, but however it says here that one of the conditions is the publisher version cannot be used. So if it's something that's branded by the Optical Society and formatted in their style, you can't use that. That's what you can download from the web, from their site, if you subscribe to that journal. But you can put up a version of the thing, and it's just as good. Avoid preprint if possible. I mean, if the option of postprint is there, it obviously is much better. And attribution is obviously important, and you can check that with the policy here. We can click on that. We can see that in the case of the Optical Society, they have a particular policy which is probably not very onerous, and you just have to watch these things. But as I said, there's a catch step. There is an editor an editor will check the item. There is an editor step. And that's the final part of the presentation. And if you do have any questions, get in touch, and we will do our best to answer. Thank you.